Hello, this is Paper Cuts Included coming to you live from the Ninja Turtle sleeping blanket, and that's how you know it's legit. This is going to be part 3 of a really big pickup video. We're reaching near the end though, and let me tell you, once we stop talking about all these pickups, I got some interesting videos in the shoot. We're going to be looking at some Miller stuff. We're going to be looking at some BWS stuff, whole lot of stuff, whole lot of stuff. And we'll probably get some more co-host videos coming out soon. My very own Dylan dog. But like I said, this is part 3 of a pickup video. This is only going to be one of the books I picked up though. Wow, shocker, right? Do you think I split this only to make an episode out of it? I think you'll see what I was going for. If you didn't watch the previous episode, we talked about Ninja Turtle related, or not even related, Ninja Turtle ripoffs / clones. Books that came out to try to get some money in on the Ninja Turtle phase. Stuff like, what was that book called? Gorilla Groundhog or Commando Koalas. Stuff that looks like Ninja Turtles but doesn't taste at all as well as Ninja Turtles do. No chef's kiss at all. But if you watched the last video, I said we're going to talk about some related character. He isn't a Ninja Turtle character at all. He wasn't even created by Ninja Turtles, but yet he appears in some Ninja Turtle books and some other books, such as Spawn. He might be the longest owned independent comic book character, and his comic ran for 30 years. If you're pretty intellectual in the comic scene, you might be knowing who I'm going to talk about today. And one of the pickups I got that you rarely see in public, I feel like, is Cerebus. Cerebus ran for 300 issues from 1977 to 2004. Winning certain awards and, like I said, being one of the longest running comics of all time. It's the creator stayed on from issue 1 to issue 300. The only help he had was, I know he got a background artist eventually, and while he didn't have to worry about background characters, he developed his own unique style of figures. And I believe he might have had someone do his lettering. We'll check on that. Unfortunately, this was created by Dave Sim and through his company Aardvark of Anaheim. However, unfortunately, Cerebus started out as a parody of Barry Windsor Smith's Conan and would eventually become more of a platform to Dave Sims and his personal beliefs. I won't get into many of them. I don't want to argue with people. You can believe what you want to believe, but I think we can all agree that the book itself went from more of a parody book to more of a platform for Dave Sim. So, comment down below if you hate me for saying that, but I feel like that's the most polite thing to say. I don't agree with probably any of Dave Sim's personal views anymore, but that's regardless. It's one of those separate the work from the artist for me at this point. My personal experience with Cerebus, I read the first trade so far. I pick up issues when I can. I actually found out I have 2 of these now, but hey, I found it for $1. Can't not pick up a Cerebus for $1. But I don't know. I feel like I'm talking about the Smiths. I used to like the Smiths, so I found out all that about Morrissey. But my personal experience is the first time I interacted with Cerebus was I bought a giant indie lot where I got like 10 issues of Cerebus. The first issue of Concrete, a lot of Boris the Bear, a lot of those Ninja Turtle clones, just stuff like that. And Cerebus looked like a funny book, because why not? He's a really well-drawn character for what he is. I will give Dave Sims credit for that. He did create a very intricate-looking character that, if you do the silhouette test for comic book nerds, I'm sure a couple of them would know it. He's an older character. I think people my age, if they're not into comics like me, have never watched a Cartoonist Kayfabe episode, they won't know at all who Cerebus is. But for you older guys out there, you know who Cerebus is. Cerebus became super popular in some of his arcs, such as Church and State, High Society, and Cerebus's Guys. So we're not going to flip into this one too much. It has some scenes in it that I don't really want to see if I'll get demonetized for. So we'll look at the first trade and probably some of the progression of Cerebus artwork itself. Before we get into that, if you don't know, this is a YouTube channel ran by 3 working artists. We talk about artwork, we talk about comic book art, and we're all working artists. Like, I'll show one of my arts real quick. I've shown this off in a couple videos. I haven't worked on a lot, but this is finals week for me, so I haven't been able to work on a whole lot of art. I actually celebrated Dead Day today. So this is going to be one of our local baseball teams is the Mad Mallards, so I'm going to make a print for it. Inspired by Howard the Duck panel, I might add. But no, I'm turning this Cerebus book I bought into a Cerebus look-through. So if you hate Cerebus or you don't want to hear my opinions on them, click off now. But if you stay and you like what I said, or you want to prove a point and like it even though you hated it, I implore everyone to like, comment, subscribe. It really helps me out. Let me know in the comments what I could do better. Let me know what books you want me to talk about. I have a pretty sizable collection of almost 2,000 books right now. So if I might have something that you want me to talk about or you want to see, I will talk about some obscure things, some things I won't talk about for demonetization reasons, but shoot me a comment and we'll see what we can work on. But no, Cerebus. So I'm gonna, like I said, he appears in, I believe, is it issue number 10 with the 8? I'm sorry, issue 8 of the Turtles. Look at this beautiful layer drawing. I debated getting this signed by Eastman himself, but I got issue 10 signed instead. I know, you're taking a layered cover to get signed by Eastman. They're just some of my favorite covers. But nope, there's Cerebus right there. That's probably the first time I ever saw him, and I thought Cerebus was just a Ninja Turtle character. Never really looked too far into it, besides face level. So there he is. I don't think this book gets reprinted ever. I think Dave Sim doesn't like this, or doesn't just want the Eastman guys, the Mirage guys to get more money. I feel like it's one of those rare books that doesn't get reprinted. But it's one of the cheaper first runs. At the most, this is probably like a $20 book, or at least when I bought it like 2 years ago, so maybe it's a $25 book now. But maybe since I just said it doesn't get reprinted that often, people are going to go suck them up, but I doubt it. Another book he appears in, that's not his own, is Spawn. Color. This was one of my favorite issues of Spawn in my read-through of it. As you can see, Cerebus is in it, and he talks to Spawn about companies kind of destroying their creations. This issue could be a whole video on its own, which it probably will be now that I'm saying that, because it's a very impactful comic on the behind the scenes of comics making. So if you like to see that, or you like to hear about that, comment down below and read this issue. It's really good. I will say, with all the problems Dave Sims has done, he has always been a champion for comics and comic creators. Like in one of the issues we're going to look at in the back, which one of his ads is the comic book legal defense fund. He's talking about just helping that. I believe he also, with other big artists, just started writing up propositions to try to get creators better pay, better, job opportunities, stuff like that. So, I'm sure people have whole videos hating on Dave Sims. But that's one of his better qualities, is he's always been a champion of comic books and comic book free speech, for better or worse. And for him, sometimes it's for the worse. But I won't fault him for supporting the comic book legal defense fund. So here's those 2 books I talked about where he is I guess a guest star. But, yep. So, I guess I said we weren't going to flip through that first one that much, but we'll look at a couple of the pages. Or at least the back. As you can see, there's Cerebus. I have not read past the first trade. I own the first 3 trades, so I probably should get on that, but he has a really, to my belief, really well-developed art style. I believe Cerebus was just at that cusp of not becoming mainstream enough, where we would probably have a Cerebus late night talk show or something like that. But no, his compositions is really dope. I think that's a really creative way of doing it. And unfortunately, this will probably be the last page we look at in this book, because there is some nudity and some suggestive scenes that I don't want YouTube to kick me off of before I hit double digits on videos. But we will flip to the back. Like, this is High Society. This is probably his most, or I guess Church and State. Church and State is an arc. It is probably his most well-known / loved Cerebus story. Then there's High Society. But I guess I kind of skipped the origins of Cerebus. Cerebus started off as Dave Sims' parody of Barry Windsor Smith's Conan. And I'll show a little snippet of tomorrow's video, which is we're looking at one of my last pickups, some Barry Windsor Smith Conan. And I'll pull up the first trade of Cerebus. See, look, that doesn't take a genius to see the inspirations. Like, look at that panel. But we can also see the growth of Cerebus. Look at that funny little cartoon guy compared to in the first issue of this. Like, he developed his character, he developed his style, even his figures. These are great figures, but they're very rough in terms of how his figures would look eventually. We're going to look at the more PG version of Cerebus, which is one of the other books I own. This is not a pickup, but I own it, and I hope it's a little more decent. This is issue 201. Where's the other one's issue 200? Oh, is that really 200? Huh. I guess it is. Or no, it's not. I don't know what issue that other one is. 50? No, it can't be 50. I don't know. I didn't say I was the most educated host. I don't know. Number 94. It's issue 94. Okay. So, quite a few years after that one that he made this one, but just look at the difference between his figures. Like, look at this panel right here, that random guy, we're gonna call him Thunderlips, versus these figures. And over 30 years he really developed his art style. He really got better. Like I've talked about, you have to put 1,000 hours in to get better, and I'm sure Dave Sims put tens of thousands of hours. Dave Sims is probably, he got his money's worth of Cerebus. He sold a lot. He and probably Bone had so many pages Jeff Smith's Bone had to go to Bible publishers to get those big Bible books and turn them into these comics because there were so many pages. But no, you can check out Cerebus if you want. The early years is really a parody on comics and Barry Windsor Smith's Conan. It's fun. It's like little snapshots of comics time. It reminds me of Planetary in a way, where some issues is like a love letter to comics. And the artwork is very cool. It's very unique. You won't see a whole lot like it, but it gets dark in the terms of Dave Sims' values / what he thinks is okay to talk about in comics. And I'm not saying that he couldn't talk about what he talked about. I'm not at all. You can talk about anything you want. It's a free world out there. You have a voice, and no one should be able to silence it, for better or worse. But let's just look at more Cerebus art. Like, try to draw this. It's gonna be pretty hard, actually. I guarantee you won't be able to find that soul that he puts in it. His characters are very whimsical, very fluid. I think this is a very organic comic. It's not Talking Head syndrome, which it easily could be, and that's some cartooning tools. So maybe study this a little bit. Just this page right here, pause it. If you want to be a better cartoonist, study this page. Study how he makes his figures not have Talking Head syndrome. Or this 9-panel page. I know in a couple previous episodes I talked about the 9-panel holy number. But just look at that. That is some well-defined artwork. Let's go back to that first trade and compare the figures. It's good, it's great, but it's also rough. It is rough, but I think that's a testament to how hard Dave Sims worked. Is you can clearly tell the growth that he had over the 30 years he made Cerebus. You know, and I think that's an artist testament. This ain't easy. Making comics, not easy at all. It's probably one of the hardest things to do as an artist. Like, I always think, me and my co-host think we can do it, we try to do it, and we get frustrated real fast. So hats off to Dave Sims for doing it for 300 issues. I think it's over 2,000 pages, or maybe it's even over 5,000 pages. And that's some time, that's some blood, that's some sweat, that's some tears. But hey, he made his nut off of it, and kudos, you know? He survived a lot of things. He released this in 77, you know, and then, I don't know. I guess Cerebus is just awesome to see it last in ways, although I don't, you know, it's like when when one of your friends from high school turns out to be a douchebag. Like, you remember that good part, but then you get a little sad because you remember how it turned out. That's kind of like me with Cerebus. It's, you know, I look at this and I love to see the growth of it, but then I remember to some of the stuff they talk about, and then I'm a little saddened by, you know, I miss the days when it was just a parody comic. Like, that's like in Red Nails with that awesome skeleton. Like, that's, you know, you can clearly tell he studied a skeleton for a long time, and you can study that, and you can tell that he wasn't, I don't know if wasn't confident was the right word, but he was choosing to black it out to save himself some time and grief, versus when he got some help from another background artist. Does it say who it was? Gerhard. Gerhard was the background artist. I guess no one was the... Oh yeah, so Dave Sim did do the lettering himself. But then you see the background that Gerhard did. And it's amazing, it's beautiful. I don't know much about Gerhard. Maybe I can try to do a video on him now that we've talked about Cerebus. But let's flip through this one a little bit more. I'm sorry if this video is more random, but I wanted to talk about Cerebus, get it out of the way. Maybe we'll do some more videos on it where we do just a deep dive on that first volume itself, which we probably will. I think this is just going to be a Cerebus overview video, guerrilla style, without a whole lot of research. This isn't going to be as good as Comic Tropes, but hey, I still think it's cool. But let me know if you like that idea, if you don't like it. So, little mini comic. But, you know, like I said, you can look at his book 1 and look at his book 300, and there is such a difference in art. He grew so much. Like, I feel like if he wasn't as controversial now, that we should put this in classrooms, and so students can see that, you know, probably a big fault is a lot of students think that if they're not good off the bat, what's the point? Whereas this guy took 30 years to create his magnum opus, and it, you know, so much growth. This book won awards. It will always be remembered by comic fans for right or wrong reasons, and I would argue if there was a Hall of Fame in comics, which I'm sure there is, but, you know, like a sports Hall of Fame, Cerebus should be in it, because it was a comic that I feel like hasn't been rivaled in a lot of senses. Well, yeah, it's, you know, the longest, you know, independently owned by a long time. One of the few books to go to 300. Like, you can't name a whole lot besides, you know, from the big two. Don't count the big two. Try to think of a book who's made it past 100. Try to think of a Dark Horse book that's made it past 100. Try to think of a Eclipse comic. You can't. I guarantee it. If not, or if you can, let me know in the comments, because that'd be cool to look at. So, yeah, there's one. I want to look at that first issue because it had some cool marketing in the back, or in this cool photo of probably this is Gerhard's camera, just working on Cerebus, which is cool to see. I'm really glad they put that as a back cover. But no, just a Cerebus, the official Cerebus toy. I didn't know that existed. I'm sure that is so expensive because I've never heard of it, and I bet not a whole lot of them sold. What, Cerebus playing cards, Cerebus posters? That's awesome. So not only did he probably get a crap ton from the comic sales, I'm sure he sold his fair share of merchandise, even though I've never really seen a whole lot of Cerebus merch. But I feel like that's almost all of what we can talk about Cerebus in a quick overview. I guess I'll just hit those highlights again. It was a long-running independent comic, probably the longest independently owned book. You can see growth from the same creative team forever. So if you want to see those artists progress, look at it through that lens. Try to separate the art from the creator, and I don't fault you for not wanting to read it for some of the values it takes. It started off as a fun parody book and turned into a platform for Dave Sims' ideas and beliefs, which I'm not faulting him for. I don't personally agree with at all, but I won't tell people what they can't say. I've always kind of not liked that. Although we can still fault people for what they say, but we shouldn't tell people you can't say it. Or how do I say it? We can fault people for what they say, but we can never not give them the option to say it. Because then what's the point? I hope that comes across well and doesn't make me sound like I am a abuser supporter, which I'm not. Like I said, I don't agree with what Dave Sims believes in. I won't really get into it because I don't want to stir up drama. I'm sorry if you disagree with me. Just keep it clean in the comments. This is probably one of our earliest controversial episodes, but that's Cerebus for you, I guess. Maybe the C in Cerebus stands for controversy. Well, in the video after this, we're going to talk about Barry Windsor Smith art. So hopefully I still got some subscribers left after I talked about Cerebus. And I know I'm joking. I know I'm still going to have people. It just felt weird talking about it. But I guess I'll send you on some marching orders and send you on your way. Make more art.